So much FUD out there in the markets, but Bitcoin is holding 100K currently. Is that the bottom of the move for these alts, or are we going to get a little bit more rinsage? So we're covering the Deepseek situation, the reason for all of the FUD, the reason for NVIDIA falling over. We're talking in detail about that today, guys. Then a ton of altcoins have hit some very interesting zones. Are we going to get a bounce of these zones? Are we perhaps going to double bottom on the next pullback? Do we need to be long? What do we need to do? Guys, I'm here for you. It's Monday. Let's get right into this. And remember, as always, guys, hit that like, hit the bell, hit the subscribe. Anybody who came over from the main channel last night, welcome to Banter Plus. This is my home. This is where you see this type of daily trading content, Monday to Friday. I brought some sidekicks today. There's one of them. I grabbed him out of hackers. I need some indicator things. We need some confluence here if we're going up or down. Then I've got the tinfoil hat man. He's got conspiracies all over the place for you guys. So stuff is going down as well. He's going to give us some insights on the Deepseek detail as well. So lots happening here today, guys. I know it's been rough out here. Let me just tell you, it's been rough for everybody out there. And if you've been sitting in longs and, panicking, you're not alone. Okay, there's a lot of that going on at the moment. And we were talking about a bearish Monday being quite good for the market, but I didn't mean that bearish. Now, we were talking about that last night. I was saying, as we've seen in the past, bullish Mondays, bearish week, bearish Monday, bullish week, but I wasn't planning on getting this type of situation here. And Kai says, am I foolish for being bullish? Well, Kai, we got you covered, bro. We're going to look at some of these levels, like Injective, for example. I don't have a reason to close my short, but is it time to start building an Injective long? So we're going to look at those types of levels today as well. But Fartcoin, the beneficiary of ascend, minus 25%. That thing feels like it's going to hell when you look at Banter Bubbles, in spite of a bounce that we've actually had in the market. Lido getting caned, WIF getting caned. Wherever you look, you're getting absolutely obliterated at the moment, except if you DEXI, whatever DEXI is at the bottom. That thing is 3% up. But okay, we'll continue, and let's go see what they've got in store for us here. Let's talk BTC quickly, and let's see what games these guys are playing at the moment. So keeping it really simple here, and on the 2 hour, and what we got today was a rejection now off 102.357. That was our VWAP to the upside. Then we had another backup VWAP from the lows there, and that was our 382. So typical rejection zone for BTC, and the question remains now, what happens next? Was that a dead cat bounce, or are we going to hold some levels, or are they sending us back to hell? So that is the eternal question, and that is what we're asking ourselves today. So we're going to cover all of this stuff in detail, and we're going to show you why. We're going to show you the positives and the negatives behind getting long now. Okay, so let's discuss BTC levels right now. Big resistance for us, 102.300. We can see that nice little rejection there off our VWAP zone. So if we pop through that region, where's my next danger zone? That is 104K. And those are the most obvious areas where you look for those rejections. Now, support-wise, 99,500. I was going on about that 99,500 yesterday being a big daily level for us as well. And you can see what has happened here. We've dropped on the 2 hour. We've tried to reclaim that. So for me, all is not lost yet. Let's watch 99,500. Well, anything from the 50-day MA to 99,500. That is this region here for us. And that would equate to a higher low pullback on BTC now, and potentially a little grind higher. So that is going to be our first port of call for anybody long at the moment, any degens, 99,500 down to, call it 99K. Okay, that is going to be your number one. And then the obvious stuff. Now, we know they had that wick, and we came to fill this wick earlier today. Now, what happens if we do drip a little bit lower? I expect that wick to get taken out, but I would love to see this tap on the 97K zone. That is my 618. That is a massive trend retest for us as well. So 97K making sense to me now as a possible region that we could visit on BTC, and that would equate basically to something like this, and this little wedge, or whatever we want to call this thing, starting to play out for us on BTC. So that is on the table for me right now. 99 to 99.5. Let's see if we get a bounce there. You know your resistance to the upside, and then lower down, 97K is where it's at for me. Now, with these parameters in place and understanding these levels, let's talk on the news. Let's see what this is all about. Who knows what Deepseek is? Okay, let me know in the chats if you know what is going on out there, because we're going to fill you in. And then we're going to now take a look using these BTC levels. We're going to take a look at some alts as well today and cover that. And also, guys, in the chats, let me know how you guys are feeling. I see James is here, and look at James. He's like a big fan of the show now, and he gave us a bit of a hard time last week. But James, good to have you in Hackers, and good to have your support all the time here in the chats. And Mom says, is WIF dead? It feels that way, okay? Me and Chaos were still relatively bullish on WIF. The big level on WIF is around about 1, and we just got to make sure we start holding that. James says, watch your trading. Well, guys, are we trading a few things? I'm going to show you what is going on. Now, here's the current Prime XBT situation. So typical short opportunity for Bitcoin on that VWAP that we've given you. And now you can see it. The rest is in the crypto guard's hands. ETH, I had to re-enter ETH after getting stopped in that rinse out yesterday. And I'm keeping things relatively tight for now on ETH. You can see we might even take a stop here at the moment, and my current stop is 3,070, but you can actually push the stop down to below 3,000. That would probably be your safest region if you're trading low leverage under 3K. Probably a good area to start looking for ETH. And then in terms of what else is going on Prime XBT, I'm still sitting in that short on the S&P that we opened the other day, and I'm actually going to close the short now because we are doing a giveaway. Okay, so it's nice. We've been printing on the S&P on Prime XBT lately, so I'm going to do a giveaway tomorrow of $500. Now, just make sure you are trading on Prime XBT. The link is in the show description, and then we're going to tell you, we're going to give you the details tomorrow as to how you're going to be a beneficiary, or a few of you are going to share that $500. So just make sure you are in the show description and you are actively trading on Prime XBT. Remember, we can have fun here with the S&P, gold, silver, oil on Prime XBT, as well as Bitcoin, which is one of my favorite places to scalp. So the links or everything I'm talking about is in the show description here for you guys. So just grab that Prime XBT link. Just make sure you are trading on there, and I'll give you the instructions tomorrow. Now, Make Money, Travel, Enjoy is trading Fartcoin of all coins. I know it's quite weird when you get involved in Fartcoin and you start making money out of this thing. You're thinking, what is going on? What is wrong with my life? I'm trading farts here and making money. I mean, it's quite surreal, actually. But I just wanted to share this with you guys. Anybody that is feeling, a little bit, you're putting in the hard work, you're feeling a little bit of pain at the moment. And just remember, the good times always come back in crypto. Sometimes, you can get into a hole and things feel totally messy. You don't know where to turn. You know what's going on. And then all your hard work pays off, and you have that moment. Everything starts ripping again and you start making money again. And it's because you've done the work, you've put the time in, and you've done the hard yards. So Naive is saying crypto traders, they just lucky. Okay, here's the luck. Okay, you're putting in the work. You're watching the show now. The market's red as fuck. You've probably lost some money. You're watching the show. Okay, you're learning how to trade. You're learning these things, and we're going to make you much better traders. Zalani says, time to 85x everything. Zalani, bro, take it easy. Yeah, take it easy. Okay. Let's talk the big news. Now, you might have noticed chip stocks overnight reactions to Deepseek. Now, we're going to explain in detail what Deepseek is, but let's just look at some of the damage here. US markets were on track last night to raise $1 trillion of market cap in Monday's session. Okay, this Deepseek, woo! Then, just to put it into perspective, NVIDIA stock currently down 420 billion in market cap today. It's actually more. Now, I'm going to show you that chart. That thing is falling over properly, and it exceeds the previous record for the biggest one-day drop in stock history by 140 billion. Imagine beating the record by 140 billion in downside. I mean, that's pretty deep. That's pretty dark. And then, this was the picture. A lot of people got to wake up to this morning in the US, and Kobisi letter saying, let's get this straight. Now, I'm going to explain what Deepseek is, but basically Deepseek was built in under 2 months for less than $10 million, and it's now the #1 on the App Store. Now, that was earlier. There's been a couple of developments since then. On top of this, it was built with outdated chips, according to them, and a small team of less than 200 people, according to them. And meanwhile, the US is pouring $500 billion into AI. And the question they were asking is, how is Nasdaq not in trouble here? So yes, that makes sense. If you were an investor in NVIDIA and all these things, and you're suddenly seeing for 100th of the cost, they are now making other products. Yes, as an investor, you would probably start bailing on some of your stocks. But now there's been a few developments. We're going to bring James in here in a second. But Evan reporting here, the CEO of Scale AI said his understanding is that Deepseek has 50,000 NVIDIA H100s that they're not allowed to talk about. Okay, so it just gets deeper and deeper at the moment. And then we've got some news coming through here that Deepseek says its service has now been degraded due to a large-scale malicious attack. Okay, now is Uncle Donald upset? Did he send his henchmen in? James, help me. Okay, give me the elevator pitch. What is Deepseek? For those that don't understand, elevator pitch. And then tell us what's going on and tell us the drama.
Well, that's it. Like you said, Deepseek, it's a new AI model that was made with a couple of Chinese teenagers in the garage with their Lego kits, basically. And so, of course, that's a big problem for OpenSea and NVIDIA, OpenAI. The problem is they are using more advanced chips than they're claiming. That's the claim, is that they're using lesser chips. They've been able to outdo the technology, and that's not the case, apparently. We're seeing that interview you just showed there said that they are using these advanced chips, which Trump had sanctioned China, saying they cannot buy those chips. They've bought them through the black market, some other kind of way. I don't know how they got them, but they're apparently using 50,000 of them. Elon Musk just tweeted about that as well, confirming that they are using these advanced chips. There's no way that they can produce this without those chips. So I think a lot of this is actually some FUD, but it's not good for the market at the moment.
Yeah, and I mean, what we saw, the timing of this whole event, Uncle Donald's just committed $500 billion to AI, and all of a sudden this new products come out that cost nothing, putting egg on everyone's faces. Yeah, there's obviously some, behind
very
the
convenient
scene.
timing.
Yes, there's a lot happening here, and
lots of speculation.
And it's worked perfectly. The markets have fallen over. Guys are going to get good NVIDIA entries, all these types of things. But there's clearly some political stuff going around in the back. And I don't think it's by anyone surprised here that all of a sudden Deepseek has its service degraded. And now you have to be on a Chinese mobile number conveniently after getting absolutely hammered by all the special, what do we call them? The special services people.
Yeah, the CIA, somebody has come in and started this attack. Uncle Donald didn't sleep last night.
Okay,
he would have been all over this. This was humiliating to him. So he's got the henchmen, whoever they are, and they've gone in to do this massive attack.
Okay, so remember, this is just us speculating. Okay, we don't actually know what's going on, but we can have a good laugh at what is going on in the background. So that is that. Okay, so that is the question I was asking today. Should we be buying this? Should we be buying this dip? Should we be buying this weakness? That is obviously why I got Chaos in as well, because he's very good at picking up some signs there if things are getting overly oversold, or if it's time to start laddering in. So we're gonna deal with you in depth as well, sir. He's ready to go. Okay, and Richard says Deepseek equals FUD. Look, I must say I'm leaning on that side of things at the moment. And just to cover the NVIDIA chart now, it was quite a thing over the last few hours waiting for this pre-market to open, because we know NVIDIA closed pretty high at 143 on Friday. So, this is quite a serious gap down after that news breaking on the weekend. So, I mean, if you're sitting in a long position, let's say you're sitting in margin, you decided to long it off the 50-day MA. The problem with these stocks is that they're not 24/7. So they can open and gap you down and you can get absolutely rinsed. So massive hiding here for anybody who was long NVIDIA on leverage, making an assumption that we're just going to bullish retest the 50-day. You wouldn't be mistaken for that type of move. I mean, nobody can expect, that to happen. This isn't your normal Monday, put it that way. So in terms of levels for NVIDIA, you can see what's going on here. We've gapped down to the 200-day MA. So that is my first port of call now. That is really what you want to start seeing reclaimed and hold and close above that 120 region. As long as we can close above there, then maybe they're going to shake off this FUD, and there will be more developments on this Deepseek, and there will be more news out there. But look, apparently a little bit of competition never hurt anybody. So maybe it's not the worst thing at the moment. And then with regards to the S&P, obviously feeling a little bit of pain with that. And we've dropped into our 50-day MA. So this is this is effectively where you can look for longs on the S&P as well. This would be just a typical retest of trend and the 50 days. So not the worst place for a potential bounce on the S&P if they can shake off some of this FUD. But remember, NVIDIA is the biggest company on the S&P. So if NVIDIA dumps 20%, the S&P is going to feel it. So the minute NVIDIA recovers, I think we get a rocket ship back up. 𝗬𝗢𝗟𝗏 says, is it a good time to buy NVIDIA stocks? Look, it's risky, but it's a good level. The 200-day MA, nothing wrong with that level. If they can shake off this FUD and they can prove that these guys are in fact using NVIDIA H100s, then yes, NVIDIA is a buy. The problem comes in if suddenly it's proven that they no longer need, or the demand for all these NVIDIA chips is going to slow down because there's alternate ways to do things. That is what is going to be the key here on NVIDIA. So definitely keep tabs of the news around NVIDIA. But in terms of that 200-day moving average, that's a level. That is something you want to be looking at for a potential bounce play there for yourselves. And the S&P included 50-day MA retest and trend. If we shake off the FUD, they both bounce from these areas. Now, I'm not going to read this for you guys, but I sent you here last night as well. And if you guys want to know what this effect could have, if this does actually play out and it does turn out to be true, you can read what the short bear has to say about the current situation. So this was dropped last night. So give it a read if you want to, just inform yourself a little bit more as to what is happening. And then Adam from Kobisi says, OpenAI was founded 10 years ago, has 4,500 employees, and has raised $6 billion in capital. Deepseek was founded less than 2 years ago, 200 employees, and was developed for less than $10 million. How are these two companies not competitors? Okay, so look, there's more things coming out, and we're going to have to let things play out over the next few days before we decide what the final verdict is on this DeepSeek. But Morgan Brown has given you a chance to dig into DeepSeek's R1, and here he is giving you a thread. So this is at Morgan B if you want to read up about what this is all about. He says, let me break down why DeepSeek's AI innovations are blowing people's minds. So apparently it's a great product. It's just, what is it getting run on? How is it operating? And he's got some interesting chirps here, but he did say, he said, first, some context. Right now, training top AI models is expensive. Okay. OpenAI and Anthropic spent $100 million just on one compute. They need massive data centers with thousands of $40,000 GPUs. It's like needing a whole power plant to run a factory. DeepSeek just showed up and said, LOL, what we just did was for $5 million. What if we did it for $5 million instead? Okay, so that is going to all come out. Trojan horse, yes, don't download or interface. Look, that's the first thing that I actually thought of. Like, really, if you start putting this on your phones and you put it, I'd be very careful, to be honest. I'd be very careful in the beginning until we know what is what. With these things. Now, let's talk Bitcoin. Let's talk the big levels. Let's talk Bitcoin on the daily. And just to cover important levels. Now, I covered the 99.5, why that was a big level for me. You can see on our daily chart, this thing is a banger level. But the secret now is going to be a close above this area. We've had this massive sell-off today. You can see we've had, what some are going to call a dead cat bounce if this thing carries on continuing down. But 99,500, you want to close today's daily above that 50-day MA so that we can say, nice little retest, but we want to go a little bit higher up. So for me, that is really what I'm paying attention to. That's the big level. I suspect if we start closing under that, it's going to be a journey down. We're talking 95, we're talking 91, we're talking 88, and we'll deal with that during the course of the week. And especially with this FOMC around the corner, which is on Wednesday. James, Chaos, it's Wednesday, correct?
Yeah, Wednesday.
Okay, so I would expect a nice bearish. Sorry, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I don't see that we're going to get some crazy price action here up until then. People are nervous about that. Now, if Uncle Donald can put some pressure there and convince Jerome to cut rates, that may fix all this. But up until Wednesday, I don't see that we have some massive recovery here. Perhaps a little bounce, but I think there's going to be some caution. There should be up until that happens.
I agree. So FOMC on Wednesday, let's not look for fireworks here. Let's use this as an opportunity to perhaps build positions on some good areas. And if we get a nice surprise on the FOMC, maybe things are a bit more dovish and things like that, that could tee us up then for the rest of the week being green. And then we will all sit back and say, we told you so, because a bearish Monday equals a green rest of the week. And if it carries on going red and we keep getting rinsed, we'll say, we didn't tell you so. But that is the theory. Okay, so bearish Monday, green week, bullish Monday, red week. That is typically what we like. And let's see if this time they're going to give it to us as well. So, okay, BTC, you've got you got your levels. Let's talk some important stuff here. This is dominance, for example. Look at that. Nice little pump for dominance. It's been looking bullish for a while on the daily. We finally hit our target. So you would have felt that in your altcoins. I certainly did on some of my long positions, but the head shorts, they paid nicely, okay? But it's not nice when you are net long. As much as your head shorts are paying, you're still feeling a bit of the pain on the way down. So dominance pumped, okay? Altcoins got they got hurt. They got really hurt. And now we got our first rejection from our target. So yeah, I mean, we hit our target on the button here, 59.58 up to just under 60 is what we're looking for. Is there more in the tank for dominance? Yes, potentially there is a little bit more. You can see this thing isn't printing reversals just yet. So we might get this thing churning a little bit higher. And that takes us to 61%. And most likely at 61%, chaos, WIF will be at 80 cents. Zero. It's not going to be great. It's not going to be a good look. A Chinese New Year, make money, travel, enjoy. Says Chinese New Year, bare moon, FOMC, rough week.
What could go wrong? Right?
What could possibly go wrong, guys? What could possibly go wrong? Thomas says this market. He's just here for the comedy. Let's see how you guys are doing in my poll. I'm running a poll. Are you bullish? 60%. I love the spirit though, because I'm wearing the bullish hats as well. I quite like it. 40% bearish. Oh, okay. Keep voting, guys. Let's see. Keep voting. Keep voting. I want to just get. I want to get a nice sample here. Okay. Let's talk. Let's talk dominance. We've covered now. What happens here if we push to the upside? We get rinsed. Those alts are getting totally rinsed. If we drop to the downside, what are you looking at? You're looking at a few key levels where you can try and take some profit. So if you have a pump on some of these alts, 58.4, that's a bounce zone on dominance. That might be a TP zone for some of your altcoins. If we drop a little bit lower, 57.8, that's probably a TP zone for some of your alts as well, because that is possibly where you get a bounce on dominance, and that would put pressure on the altcoins in theory. Okay, so that is what you're going to look for to the downside and dominance. Then let's cover USDT dominance. Now, this is a concern for me. So we've been pointing out last week, this thing was looking super bullish. It still is. Okay, we don't have our reversal prints at the moment. And very importantly, if this was a shitcoin, for example, we'd say, cool, we've broken horizontals and the 50-day MA. Now we're retesting. Look at that. Perfect retest. And now we want to send this thing higher up. So danger bells here for me on the USDT dominance. I would say your support is 4%. You start losing 4%, we can start turning a bit more bullish on the alts. Until then, we are expecting this thing to churn a little bit higher. So there is danger to the upside. Now, you'll remember the pain we felt leading into the 20th of December. You'll remember the pain we felt leading into, 13th, 14th of January. So that could be coming for us again. And the landscape has changed a bit because these alts have dropped, chaos, 70% from the highs? Yeah. Could be a little bit more coming. Okay, so with not that I want to bring all this bad news, but with the information at hand, we're going to show you a couple of areas where if we get a reasonable size dip now this week, we might be able to buy some of these alts and start looking for longs. Then if we get a bigger dip, well, then there's going to be a problem, but we're going to cover you with some of those levels lower down. Okay, so don't panic. You're going to be covered on both sides. Now, let's just look at the altcoin market. Now, this is the total 3 chart that I'm looking at here at the moment. And you can see just like a couple of other charts, we are struggling at the 50-day moving average. So we've had our trend break. We had a retest and bounce. We are now back. And we really want to close above the 50-day moving average. That is going to be key for us from an altcoin perspective. So this is total 3. This is the market excluding Bitcoin and ETH. If we're closing above the 50-day, then we can say, okay, we've got one more breath here and we might get a move up. If we're closing under, to me, that's pretty bearish, and we most likely start the journey to some lower levels, and that could hurt these altcoins. So, yeah, I mean, we're going to show you some indicators that tell us that we should be getting a bounce, okay? And it might be a short-term bounce, but we should be getting a bounce. And if not, we're going to deal with it. So Traveling Man says, Popcat will save us when it bounces from negative 0.1. Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to go to a place where, they have to pay us to own it. I mean, that would be a nice place for Popcat. It's going to go for literally 0. So look on chain, the ETH Foundation shooting themselves in the foot again. and ruining any sense of bull market. We know Trump and his mates, they all buying ETH at the moment. They're staking it. So that is super bullish from that perspective. But the ETH Foundation is clearly bearish on ETH, and they just keep selling. So they sold another $300,000 2 hours ago. That was posted earlier today. And they sold a total of 13 million since the beginning of January. So when you've got that regular sell pressure, obviously it's not that big, but these guys are selling their own bags, obviously to pay bills. And that reminded me of this beautiful little move on ETH. This is ETH. I mean, this is ETH all day long. Whenever you think it's going to go down, what happens? ETH just lets you down every single time. So here we are, ETH on the daily chart for us. And, to be fair, it's given a bounce on the 200-day moving average. So I suppose we can give ETH a round of applause for that little move there. You can see 200-day MA tying in with some horizontals. So yes, to be fair, that is a bounce level for ETH. And when I was talking about a potential stop loss earlier on Prime XBT, if you look at that 200-day MA, that is floating around 3,000. So if you close underneath that, then we're most likely going to our 2.8 to 2.7 level. But for now, we can use 3,000 as our first support zone, and that is going to need Bitcoin to hold its current levels most likely, and that should give us some kind of short-term push on ETH, perhaps to even 3,200, where that will be a potential exit zone for us. Now, Chaos has got ETH ready for you guys, and Luna says no cock and balls. No cock and balls yet. Okay, we're working on that. We're working on that. Okay, Chaos, give me your version of ETH. Are we super bearish here? What are we doing?
All right. Sorry, I was just looking at NVIDIA. Where are we? By the way, this looks really good for NVIDIA. Just wanted to drop that in. If you want to talk about that later, we can. Okay, Ethereum. So I've gone for a 3-hour chart, guys. Now, obviously, one of the things I'm concerned about is what's gone on today. Okay, there's no point in being a perma bull all the time. We try and be realistic. But one of the things that I can see here is that we have been in this support zone, since back in November. We've dipped into this multiple times. We've lost it once, but it was an engulfing candle and we made it back. So to all intents and purposes, this has generally held up pretty well as an area of support. Now, we dipped into it again. Obviously, some various candle structures have been made. I'm looking at cash flow, which is kind of, listen, it's not making its clear mind up, but it wouldn't because of what's going on. So we're being very cautious. What I can tell you is that the RSI has bottomed out. It's oversold. Doesn't always mean it's going to go up, but if we look at the last time and then we look at the price action, we got in the region of a 50 to the top of there, roughly a 14% move. So what I'm essentially looking at is I'm looking at this sell to end, okay, potentially tap into this zone again and to get a buyer signal and to follow this RSI up with a push with the, and listen, if it is a red Monday, okay, and we do get a green week and this, deep, I forgot what's it called? Deepseek. I nearly said the other word. I'm not saying that out loud. If that thing plays out, it could be that you break through here. You start to actually use this as a bouncer and you start to regain some levels. So that's going to unfold with the week. I do not want to be a perma bull, but at this point, this is what we see.
What time frame are we looking at here? Can you zoom in a little bit? The guys just want to see your chart.
Hold on a sec. This is the 3-hour chart. And just so you can see the current candles as to what we're looking at. There you go, guys. So this zone, it's in the region of 30, 30, 30, 50, something like that. Potentially another dip because I saw BTC was having another fumble. And then I'd like to catch certainly the move to this point of control, which you can see running through the chart. It's also an order block. These things act like magnets. The bottom of the order block is 33.11. If it does pull off a move like that, then it's almost a 9% move. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. But at this time, starting to slightly turn up in all areas. So we'll have to see.
Look, we love the look of that oscillator. It's heavily oversold. It's turning up. It's given us our first print. What do we know from experience here? Sometimes you get the first print, you get a double dip and they hit you one more time. So what I'm going to suggest to people here is if you want to do this thing, low leverage plays, this goes for all the stuff we're going to show you today because of the condition of the market. So low leverage stuff here, be prepared for a second dip. So don't ape your full shot on this first buy. Give it a chance. If there is a little bit of dip later, that's going to be where you can add to that position, and then you can try and grow a little bit of size there. So the signs are there that we are going to reverse, but let's not shoot our shot too early. So start slowly here, and then we figure it out. Gabriel, I see Sui did hit a big order block there for us, and we did get some kind of bounce, so we can try and check in to that guy shortly. Okay, Chaos, thank you. So ETH potential reversal. Let's go to the next one. So obviously an important one is Solana. And yeah, I mean, I've been talking about and watching the Sol trade all day because I had my masterclass today for the Trading Accelerator School that I've done. And today was the first masterclass. You can see it starts in 20 seconds. Well, that's obviously wrong. It ended about 2 or 3 hours ago. And we've got another one coming up next week, and where I'll be going through some leverage and advanced leverage trading tips and tricks. And what I suggest here, guys, join the Trading Accelerator. You want to learn about all these things, including what Chaos has just shown you with regards to the oscillators and the indicators and things like that. I cover all of that stuff in the course. So jump in there and take a look at that stuff. The link is in the show description. Just grab it underneath. Just sign up. It's there at the top. Sign up to the Trading Accelerator. You'll be doing this stuff in 10 days. And if you're in hackers, well, you'll be busy every single day because you'll be getting content and trade setups all day long. So let's talk Sol. And I was talking about building a hot zone today in the masterclass. So here we are at the moment. I'm watching Sol on the 8 hour, and I'm enjoying the fact that we do have our first reversal print. So that is a good start. But what we know from experience is we quite often on that first print, we do get one more sell-off before we get some pumpage. So bearing that in mind, or just acknowledging that that is a possibility, that takes me to this really nice zone on Sol between 216 and 210. This whole region for me looks like a zone that could come and get tapped. So we've got a VWAP. I actually want to show you. Where's this VWAP? It was from one of these lows here. I think it was this guy. This is a banger. From the 4th of November. Look at that. It's sitting on it right now in that region. So we know we've got support from this 217 zone down to 210, that type of level there for me on Sol. If we do get a double dip now on BTC, I'm looking for that push into that region, and that is going to be the big long zone that I'm going to look for. So that 50-day MA is a banger. The 100-day MA is a banger. We've got 618. We've got horizontals. There's a lot going on in this region, and I've got my 8 hour talking to me, potentially a 4 hour as well. Let's just take a look. You can see that's got a little reversal. Chaos, what are you seeing there? Anything else that we need to know?
Just really to add, there we go. I mean, I'm choosing the 3 hour, the 4 hour. It doesn't matter which one. Excuse me, guys. So look, the only thing to add here is that part of what we're using on Chart Prime has got, again, this money flow point of control. It's worth noting that although we have got this yellow line, which has essentially been a zone for so long now, which again is around the level that Dylan just said, 215, 214, 216, it's quite possible that we do dip into this, like the double dip that he just mentioned. And what I'd expect to do is reverse this into a buy somewhere, potentially here, and then actually start to reclaim these levels. So the first one would be the money flow point of control. And then I'm obviously interested in this order block, which is slightly bullish. And if we do get that move, you know, it is a 20% move, guys. So you start making, even on a 5x, real numbers again. So again, exercise caution today, but that's why, I agree, Dylan. Double dip and then reclaim.
Yeah, so look, looking for weakness, we don't typically now, I mean, obviously there's unique situations where it goes down in a straight line, but we don't typically, see major levels, 2 major levels get broken in one move. Okay, so I just want to highlight a couple of things. When we got that original Sol pump, it was obviously important for us that we consolidated in a region. So we had that first pump. Then what I was looking for was some kind of flag, some kind of consolidation here. That is really, it's actually quite bullish. And we can't get upset if it is doing that type of thing. So bearing in mind, we've got our big level here. 210 is a big one. That 50-day MA is pretty serious. The 100-day is pretty serious. So if we start losing that, yes, we'll have to look lower down and we'll start talking about things lower down. But it's difficult to speculate about lower levels until we've lost a major level. So, cool. Like let's lose the major level first, then we'll start looking at where our next big one is and, timing with regards to that. But just in terms of this chart, you can see big level 1 is 216 to 210, and then lower down you've got your 200-day, that's 180, and you've got liquidity down to 170. So it's not a place we want to go to, but if we start closing under 210, yes, we're going to have to reassess where we are. And Dylan says, is 𝗬𝗏 Chinese? Now, I've got news on 𝗬𝗏 for you. I think they are integrated, or they have no effect on this DeepSeek. So we're going to take a look at 𝗬𝗏 for you guys as well. I wouldn't worry about that one just yet. But in terms of Sol, you got your big levels. That's really what you need to track today. That is what we need to hold. Now, there's another one I wanted to show you guys because I really thought today was the day. I really thought we were going to get AVAX at our 30 zone, 31, and I was actually getting quite excited. So we didn't get it, and I want to leave this here for you guys again, because if we get this double dip from Bitcoin, I'm still looking for AVAX anywhere between 32 and 29.5. Anywhere in this region for me is going to be a proper banger on AVAX. Just waiting for this dip, waiting very patiently here, and you can see we're going to take out some of that liquidity. You can see I've got horizontals in play as well. I've got my 200-day, the 618. There's a lot happening for me in that region. And by the time we get there, you'll see this reversal that is already printing is going to be nice. And we're going to have this divergence playing out potentially as well. And AVAX could be teaming up for something special. So want to leave this here with you guys. Remember, all these charts go straight into Chart Hackers directly after the show. So you can find them there, go through them at your leisure, obviously. Okay. JD wants to go into the depths of hell at 175. Bro, I don't want to go there again. I've been there. Okay, I went there to 175. It wasn't fun, bro, because I'm still holding that sold position. So please, can we not? Okay, let's not. Okay, here's the deal. Okay, so I was talking earlier at the start of the show. I had no reason to close my injective short at all. Okay, so you can see I'm building an injective long for reasons I'm going to give you on the injective chart. Chaos is going to hopefully back this up for us and tell us why there's a potential long on the table. And then in terms of my injective short, I've got no reason to close this thing. So I closed my near short. I closed my Brett short earlier today. I've now started a new one, and a couple of others just to take them off the table because we had a big dip. But injective, I've decided to leave open in case they want to send us lower down. Same with Aptos. I've kept that short open, and this was typically me building a short in market strength. So when the market was strong, I was just adding and starting to grow some shorts along the way, just being prepped in case we start falling over. And you can see that Aptos is now actually doing something substantial here and helping out the trading account now when the wheels come off. So you can see Render. I've opened a short for Render under the 200-day MA. Not to say I don't think it's going to hold some levels, but I've got the Render chart for you guys. I'm going to show you why. Peppy also bouncing off a good zone for us. AIXPT, I see we're reversing a bit, but that hit a nice level earlier today. Cass head short, pumped into a resistance zone. Tower at the moment, trying to get a scalp now. So I closed my tower yesterday when we dipped under that 200-day MA. The market was looking too scary there at that point in time. So I closed that one. This is a new scalp play based on the DeepSeek news. And if we do get some action going with Chaos, and I still think WIF is going to bounce. So trying to grow a position there on WIF. AVAX, no changes there. Sui bouncing off an order block. I think we discussed this one this morning on the live session. Arweave on a weekly level here. Sol, no changes there. And Brett, you can see this thing was negative $34,000. And I closed my short. It's now bounced. I've added more to the long, and now it's negative 27. I've now, subsequent to that, opened a new short. So they can keep sending us down, and I'm going to keep shorting this thing and adding to this Brett position. Let's see how big we can grow it before going to zero. I mean, that's basically the game plan. As long as Brett bounces before we go to zero, then we are good. So let's talk AIXPT now. We saw a lot of these AI agents taking pain because of the developments now over the last weekend, and there was a strong sell-off. So the first one that was interesting to me was AIXPT. I did drop this in Hackers earlier, this chart showing that we might get some kind of reversal. And just looking at this thing on the 2 hour, you can see we are getting signs of some kind of bullish push now, even if it is short term. So we're not looking for, absolute fireworks here. But for me, AIXPT 0.6, that looks like a nice exit play there for me. 0.6 looks like the zone where I'm going to jump out if we do get a little push. And then in terms of support, pretty simple. It's going to be your lows at a 45,458 AIXBT. So this is going to be a potential squeeze play here for us, a potential bounce here, you know, with the market jumping back in, realizing this DeepSeek isn't such drama or as you know, as people are saying it could be. So AIXBT 0.6 and your support that you're watching call it 0.48. That type of region there, as long as you are holding and closing above these types of levels, that 2-hour oscillator might start playing out for you and give you a little push. So just play safe. Remember, these AI agents, small position, big move. That is all you're looking for. And then in terms of 𝗬𝗥 trades, I took that virtual trade that I gave you guys yesterday on my show, and hopefully some of you guys got that. And you know, obviously with all the FUD floating around, it was quite a risky play. But this was the trade, okay? And this was our level at I think we were at 2.03, 2.04 is where I was looking for virtual. So you can see we've had a small little move here. On the 4-hour, we do have that reversal print. That looks familiar. And maybe if we can hold any little dips now to the downside, if we can hold this double bottom play, then I expect virtual to wake up a little bit and give us, you know, a fairly decent move here. And we can always start looking higher once we break a trend and things like that. So right now, all you need to watch for virtual is 1.88. That is going to be your lows. And you can see why, even on the 4-hour, this looks like a possible reversal could be due for us here. Let's take a look on the 2-hour. And the 2-hour also trying to print a little bit more bullish. You can see that VWAP reversal as well is now triggered on the oscillator. So there could be something here. Just watch your lows, small position, big move. Where are you on AI agents? Do you think they're done?
No, I don't think they're done. I think they'll come back. It just feels like they've got... Do you know what it is? Whatever flavor of the week is going on right now, so whether it's memes or AIs, whatever's the most liquid, whatever's the most, you know, FOMO'd, when something happens, they're the ones that tend to suffer the most, because that's where the active liquidity is, right? So money gets drawn out of it. It was the same as what happened with Trump, you know, it's the same thing. So I'm sure that these AIs will be absolutely fine. It's just the liquidity which was in them, which has now been pulled into USDT dominance. It just needs to be redeployed. So I think we'll be all right.
Chaos says we'll be all right. Okay, so pain and suffering while we're doing it. I see James is really becoming involved here in the chats. James, good for you, bro. Cooking here in the chats. Okay. Let's go virtual. So you've covered, okay? You know the plan. Yeah, we're not looking to shoot the lights out. Small positions here, big move. I gave you guys that trade on my show, and I took it. Okay, so I'm sitting in it now on 𝗬𝗥. Don't forget, 𝗬𝗥 is actually running a trading competition at the moment. You can win a share of 10 ETH on 𝗬𝗥, obviously, and take part of their trading bonuses and all the things that they are actually offering as well. And obviously, the fun leverage games that we can play on 𝗬𝗥, which I'm going to be talking about in my masterclass next week for the Accelerator School. So if you are on 𝗬𝗥, make sure you have taken the Accelerator School and you are tuned into my masterclass, because I'm going to show you leverage tips and tricks on 𝗬𝗥. So if you want to do that, you know what to do now. You can hear my voice telling you, go to the show, under the show, click more, and click on the link for 𝗬𝗥, and make sure you are involved in that one, and join me at the next masterclass. Now, let's talk 𝗬𝗨. Why is 𝗬𝗨 holding so nicely? Why can this be something, you know, to pay attention to after this weekend's news? We know things are bullish on 𝗬𝗨, something coming in 2 weeks, I believe. What was that news? Their mainnet or something?
I'm not sure, but I've got the chart for you.
Okay, so with regards to 𝗬𝗨, okay, it's Deepseek has now been integrated within BitTensor, or whatever we call it. As Barry Silbert quoted, 𝗬𝗨 is going to eat the AI world. So they've reacted quickly. They've said, don't worry, it doesn't affect us. We good. And now they are doing their thing. So here is 𝗬𝗨. Okay, so no changes. Anybody in a spot type position, you want to watch your lows, 360. That is pretty much what you want to see. You can see right now we are at trend resistance. Look where we rejected. 50-day moving average, no surprises there. Straight rejection into that 50-day MA. And for me, bearish under the 200-day MA on the short term, bullish closing above the 200-day MA on the long term. So 440 is pretty much the line in the sand you want to be watching now for 𝗬𝗨. I'd love to see a close above that. That is our 200-day moving average. Remember, this is a big support and resistance marker for us for these altcoins. So as long as we can start closing above that, we should be okay. And then in terms of the daily, that's actually pretty bullish. So can't ignore this nice double bottom here on the oscillator. Might be something in store here for us. But for me, the next big trade, okay, is going to be blowing that 50-day MA. Right now, all I want to see for my scalp position is that we close above that 200-day MA at 440. And if we can hold that, then we might be grinding higher. Airdrop says we are going to zero. Nice. Very nice. Chaos, any opinion on Tower at the moment?
Yeah, sure. I'm going to make it very, very simple, apart from the fact there's all this spidery stuff going on. Very simply, there is a stack of orders above where we are. We're literally on the point of control now. Now, we've started at, well, we got absolutely hammered here. To be honest with you, I'll just draw it straight up. Higher, higher. Higher, low. Higher, higher. I'm actually expecting to start respecting this trend line. Oh, sorry about that line. And to actually start eating these order blocks and continue to make higher lows and highs. If really there's nothing to worry about and they're not bothered, there's absolutely no reason why this point here can't be the reversal, you know?
So, look, it was a beautiful comeback. I mean, comeback candle. If you look at this thing on the 3-day or the weekly, I mean, it's a beautiful candle. So yeah, I mean, relatively bullish there from that perspective. But yeah, I mean, for me, I want to hold that 440, the 200-day MA. What Chaos is saying, yes, you know, as long as we're closing above, say on the daily and those things. So if we do get a dip lower, as long as we bounce quite quickly and quite hard, but you can see there's liquidity there on his candle that he's showing you. And for him, yeah, we're holding that trend. What is that trend level there for you? What are you watching there?
Trend, listen, the next bounce wants to be somewhere in the region of 402. I mean, it does seem like an absolute catastrophic drop. But listen, we've been down at 360, right? So anything above 400 or 402, in my mind, as long as we keep 10%. Reacting, it's fine. Yeah.
It's one sneeze. It's one candle on FOMC day. It's literally 10%. So
this is the thing. That's where the money can be made, right? If you're a good trader, those 10% can be huge. So
okay, let's talk the next one. I've got 𝗙𝗟 because this one also had a nice bounce and a couple of things going on here. Excited to share that Deepseek AI R1 has been swiftly integrated into our cutting-edge agent platform and chatbots. Okay, moving with the times, solving problems nice and quickly. So 𝗙𝗟 came to the rescue of themselves, I guess. So they're good with that. What is not so good at the moment, a little rejection here. So we've lost our trend, we've lost our 100-day MA. But I'd say overall, this thing is prepping for a nice reversal. I think it's a matter of time now of finding the level. So what we can see, we have lost the rising trend. So we had our rising trend in play. What did we lose? 100-day MA. We've now retested. Now we're rejecting. So now the test comes, where do we bounce? Where do we hold? And bearing in mind that our daily and our 12-hour are actually moving quite low now. And we're going to get to that point where we get quite a vicious reversal here in the markets in general. And I would expect some kind of big move on 𝗙𝗟. So you can see the last time we had a reversal on 𝗙𝗟, we dipped one more dip and then we had a beautiful push up. And now looking for a very similar move. You can see we've printed our green reversal over there and we've had our second dip. So that is what we want to see. We print the reversal, we have a little bit more downside, and then we have that upside push that we are going to be looking for. So let's just map out a couple of levels on 𝗙𝗟 at the moment. But nice to see these guys just moving with the times. You know, news comes out on the weekend and they're like, cool, we bang, we done, we sorted. And, you know, carrying on business as usual for the guys. So let's just identify a couple of regions here. Let's take a fib from the extreme lows to the highs. And you can see immediately we're trying to hold our 618. So that's interesting there for us. Look at that. We're trying to hold 618 at the moment. That is 0.24 that you're going to be watching. And then no surprises here. Let's see where that 786 is. Bang. Okay. So nice little level here on that 786. Look at that cluster there for us. It ties in with that liquidity to the downside. So for me, these are areas of interest. If you're a DCA person, you're looking for those things, you buy on these big types of levels. So there's one here, 0.24. Then your next zone, we take out that liquidity candle there, you're looking at 0.17. So these are your areas. That is where you're looking for buys. And that based on the oscillators as well, we can see we're going to get some kind of reversal here sooner rather than later. And when I say sooner, it could be a few days. It might not be a few hours. It could be a week, for example, but the daily doesn't lie. And eventually it is going to give us what we want. Don says, is WIF dead? It feels like WIF is dead. Feels like it. When nobody's interested, though, could be a mover. Let's talk render. Let's talk render. Let me show you my view on render. Now, I see Matty was in the chat saying this Deepseek might affect render. So, Matty, let me know what you're saying about that in the chats here. James, do you know what he's talking about at the moment? Why render could be affected?
Well, I think he was saying that Deepseek, as in he was using the platform, was saying that render is bearish. Perhaps that's kind of what I understood. I could be wrong, but I think he used it to do an analysis, and it came back and said render's bearish.
Okay, well, here we go. Render is a little bit bearish in my view at the moment, and 5.22 is what I'm actually looking at. That would be a nice entry. Okay, if we get that. So the reason that is appealing to me on this time frame is you can see there's not much going on down here in terms of major support. Look at that candle. I'd love to see this candle get wiped out and send us to that 786 and macro trend, which is one of my favorite type of trades. You get a meltdown into a 786 and a macro trend that normally gives you a nice move. So render for me, it's alarms on. We want to make sure we get this. If we do melt into that zone, alarms on. 5.2, 5.3, that type of area, looking to build some kind of position. Now, when does that happen? Well, you know, our daily is looking close to a reversal, but we're not there just yet. And using this example that we had last time here, you could see we had a push up and then we had a double bottom on the reversal. There was quite a big sell-off on render. So if we do get something like that, we should see this thing drift a little bit lower for us and then maybe give us that 5.22. So that is the reason why I jumped into that hedge short that I showed you on Bybit. And let's just zoom in. I'll just show you the picture as to what it looks like. And again, something very simple. All we did was pump into the 200-day MA. We pumped into a 382, and we pumped into the VWAP from the high. So there's 3 levels of confluence there, bang, bang, bang. And that, if you in a pumping market, you typically look at that as a hedge zone. That is where you can add to your hedge positions, where you look for rejections in those types of zones. Captain Chaos, where are we on render?
So
hell or not hell?
Not quite. Well, maybe. Very, very simple. On the daily, you just spoke about these imbalance candles, right? If we now zoom in from here to the point of the lowest point of these imbalances on the 4 hour, it actually pings straight into an order block. So now that I've shown you that same, I'll get rid of that. And you can see this order block from where it was left over back in November. Listen, at some point, I think we're going to take this out. And that is 4.8. Okay, so this is a huge dip. However, it might not be now. And the reason I say that is because even though we've been pinging down on this cash flow, we are facing up. RSI again is facing up. There's basically a reversal there. What we said about double dips, there was the reversal. So the double dip could just be that, and then we go. Or the double dip can in fact be that. And if that happens, and that's not out of the question, because as you saw before, this was like 1 or 2 candles, right? And it could just be munched up in seconds. So this is not out of the question. This is going to be a banging along if we get down there at 4.8. All right. And it's going to be
4.8. You're worse than me. You're worse than me.
But the thing is, Dill, it might not happen now. We might start to regain some levels, you know? So as much as these candles here were imbalances, it's exactly the same here. Look, this is just one solid chunk of red. If you jump up to the 12 hour, look at that. It's an imbalance candle. So I can't tell you which way it's going to go, but I can tell you now, we're coming here. And then if we go there, the next danger zone is down here at 4.1.
I love it when you say imbalance in your British accent. It sounds fucking professional, bro. Really professional. Excellent imbalance work there. Okay, so guys, you've got it. 522 or 4.8. Basically, that is your next big one on render. That is, I mean, it's a beautiful trade zone, really. If you get down there, start building a position, work on it, especially if it happens this week, because then it will be part of a mega bounce, whether it's a dead cat bounce or whatever. You're going to get a huge bounce. If it happens in the next few days, okay, and it happens quickly, and there's some kind of capitulation bang into that zone, you're going to get a very sharp bounce on render. Make sure you're ready. 5.22 down to Chaos's 4.8. You can see my stop here is at 4.78. Okay, so you can even use it 4.75 as your potential area there. But that for me is an area you want to start building if there is weakness. And James says, oh, it's going to happen if China still needs more. James he's having his own conversation here in the chats at the moment. Okay, okay, let's look at the next one. Recovery play, Goku. We've touched on this a few times. It's becoming one of these memes that when there's weakness, it's a sell-off. But look at the bounce that you get the minute the market recovers. So still trading around $21 million market cap. To be fair, holding really well considering the dog show that we see around us. So no changes there. Obviously, you want to start reclaiming this 23 region as soon as possible. So right now, you can see it's dropped under this range level. So we might have a situation where it might drift lower. That is if the market is sending us down. But right now, nice strong bounce of any weakness on the market. So definitely something to track. If you guys are interested, you can also trade this one on WeX at the moment as well. So let's talk Brett, because this thing is causing me pain and suffering and all these types of things. But well, we'll keep chaos here, because do you have Brett?
I'll get Brett now.
Get Brett. Okay, so here's the deal with Brett. I decided, okay, a while ago, with all the Coinbase news and all the things getting listed on Coinbase, and the latest one was Toshi. Okay, pumped how much? 60%? I mean, fuck me. Why can't they just list Brett? Okay, they list Toshi. And I'd never wanted to exit this Brett position in a bull market in case Coinbase lists it. So I've just decided to keep building the size. So that comes with the cost of having to run head shorts whenever the market is bearish, and then allowing this thing to bleed out. And then when we hit levels, closing the shorts and adding to my long position, sometimes to my detriment. So now it is quite a big size position. But you can see where I dropped in hackers earlier today. I gave 2 head short zones for Brett. So I'm in another head short now on Brett from our first rejection area. So we're going to zoom out now, and I'm going to show you the bigger picture. But just in terms of, catching a short after a market pump, I cannot stress enough how nice it is to get your short game working on just regular reaction zones and things like that in a nice green market. So when the market pumps like that, you can often get little entries on these shorts by doing simple things like watching your 15-minute oscillator, watching your 1-hour oscillator, and watching how it pushes into typical reaction zones. So just to cover where we are with Brett, and what did we do? We pushed back into our previous range, into a 618, and that becomes your short reaction zone. And now we are sending it lower down. So in terms of what the bulls are looking for, well, it's pretty simple. The bulls want to ideally print a higher low, and we can see our low at the moment on Brett is sitting at 72. As long as we're printing a higher low or matching that type of thing, we should be okay on any double dips with regard to Bitcoin. Now let's zoom out. Let's look at a higher time frame here, just to give you a picture as to where we are. Now, we had somebody, I think yesterday on the show, yesterday on the Hacker Zoom, they were talking about setting an order at this exact level. So hopefully they are absolutely cooking, because do you remember the gent's name? He was on our stream last night.
Oh, it was. No.
He had a limit order. I think he had a limit order at 74, 75. So hopefully he picked up his order when things fell over. But in terms of Brett, you can see we've lost the rising trend. That is pretty bearish at the moment. But in terms of targets, we could easily get a push of 27, 28%, even a little bit higher, 50% before we get our next major rejection on Brett. So that is what I'm interested in at the moment. Then you can see in terms of the oscillators, we are obviously printing reversals, but we just need to make sure we are holding certain key levels. So where can Brett go right now? Well, let's zoom in and let's just understand. We've tapped zone number 1. Okay, so that was our long play entry zone for fresh trades. So that has now been tapped. So ideally, you want to hold this 74 zone. If you close underneath, you most likely are going to come and visit your liquidity candle here at 70. So that is another 7%, give or take. That's quite heavy. And then the big dog is this guy. And then all bets are off down there as to how deep they want to send it. I reckon there'll be some serious capitulation in that area. I mean, that is going to take out anybody who was long from the August dumps. Now, can you imagine what can happen after that, potentially on Brett? So I would say even as low as this 55 could become a reality for us. So right now, play it level by level, play it step by step. And for me, game plan, any pumps, just looking for the head short, and we can keep riding this thing down and growing that size. And if Coinbase comes to the party, well, then it's worth it. If not, it's going to be a great story. Philippe, yes, sir.
There he is.
Yes, sir. This is
There
my
he
man. Philippe. Okay. Email giveaways at cryptobanter.com. Philippe, email giveaways at cryptobanter.com. Screenshot this so they know it's you. Okay, tell them Dylan says you're going to get a 3-month promo code for hackers. Okay, you are coming into hackers. You're going to experience everything there for us. Just email giveaways at cryptobanter.com. I'm putting you in hackers. Okay, bring the spirit, bring the energy. Okay, you are going to be in there. Okay, so congrats. Email them, please, and let me know. Okay, cool. There we go. So well done. Okay, well done. Just for being a legend there, Philippe. Well done. Okay, let's go. 𝗪𝗡𝗡. Now, Chaos. We're running out of time here, guys. We got to move quickly. But in terms of DCA zones, look at this. 𝗪𝗡 dropped into a massive area. I know this thing sometimes runs with tech and things like that, or AI. And this is why maybe it's taking a little bit more strain at the moment. But 13.5 DCA zone number 1. And the next one, unfortunately, is 8 to 7.5. Those are the zones. So if there's going to be a long, now it's here at this 12, 13 level, give or take. How are you feeling on that one?
I'm looking at your chart because I haven't charted 𝗪𝗡. I really hope so. I really hope so. I've been in this thing.
You hope you're going to get it lower. You hope you're sending us to hell.
I just hope we get any sort of bounce. I've been in this thing since I was born. I'm telling you.
This thing is messy. This thing is messy. And there's been big selling. Okay, you can see this thing has been one of the biggest underperformers since
ever.
April last year. It's been one of the biggest letdowns. So look, in terms of reversals, it's interesting in the zone. You can see this daily actually wants to go a little bit lower, but in terms of short-term bounces and DCA, 12 to 13, that's a zone. Your next one, 8 to 7.5. Here's the 4-hour. Look at that. You can see this thing is trying to do something, but the reversals we've had so far haven't been big. Okay, they've been small little moves here. Okay, small little moves there that we're going to be watching. So, guys, yeah, play it safe. But in terms of DCA, if you believe fundamentally in 𝗪𝗡, then these are your zones. And if you liked it at 48, trying to buy the top, well, then you must love it now at 12 to 13, and you're going to really like it at 8 to 7.5. Okay, so good luck there, the HODL army on 𝗪𝗡. That could be a thing. Chaos, any special mentions here? I've got to do injective. Do you have injective?
I've got Brett. Can I give you a 3-second analysis?
Yes. Give me Brett. Okay, guys, we're going back to Brett quickly.
Just really quickly, look, ball source for you. Okay, Brett has got a habit of forming big cash flow waves where it makes big moves. Obviously, we're zoomed out here. Again, massive cash flow wave. This has been one huge cash flow wave. When this ends and this thing goes green again, you're going to get the same move in the opposite direction. I really look, the sell TP1, TP2. We're getting tired. This thing's turning around. Honestly, this is a curve, right? I really, really believe that this will just go green again, and then when it goes green, you're going to get that again. I don't want to install crazy ball source hopium for anybody because Brett has shit the bed properly. However, this does look like we're going to get that next. And when that happens, you can see Brett makes big, big moves. So I didn't want to leave Brett uncovered today. All right.
Okay,
Sorry.
guys. So basically, Chaos is just telling me to hang in there. Okay.
Yeah.
Fucking hell. Somebody said in the chat, where do you join hackers? Guys, you can join hackers through the Accelerator School. So do the Accelerator School. You're going to get Chart Prime. You can join hackers. Or alternatively, you can just join hackers by going to the link in the show description below. So just go under the show there. There it is. Get hackers. Get in the hot zone with the private Discord trading, and you can get involved with everybody there. And all the amazing stuff going down. Okay, so injective chaos. Oh wait, I'm showing your chart. I mean, here we go. Okay, so go to the show description, guys. Underneath, there it is. Chart hackers. Just click on that. The information is there for you. Let's talk injective quickly, and let's cover that. So couldn't ignore injective in a DCA zone. Very interesting for me. This was a zone we actually marked quite a long time ago. I think we were talking about this level around about the 13th of January. I was talking about this as a potential area. We finally came and we tapped that. So if the Bitcoin behaves itself now and holds certain levels to the downside, I'm talking, let's close above the 50-day moving average, for example. Then we should see Injective hold this beautiful bounce zone, which is 786 VWAP and trend for me, tied in with some lows. So 18 for me, down to round about, let's say 17.5, zone of interest on Injective. The only thing I don't like is this daily needs a little bit of work. And let's take a look at what the lower time frames say. The 12 hours nearly there. Let's talk 8 hours nearly there. So this one feels like it needs a little bit more time, but we can't ignore the fact that this is quite a big area for us on Injective. So if that zone fails, what do? Where's your next area? Well, for me, that is going to be 16 is what you're going to be looking at Injective. And by the time we get there, if that happens in the next 2 or 3 days, well, we're going to have a nice reset on the oscillators. Everything is going to be completely bled out there, and we're going to get a nice bounce off at 16. So right now for me, in that head short at the moment, no reason to close it, but I think time to start building along in that region. If that fails, we're riding that short down to that 16 level for the next bounce on Injective. How's your Injective chart?
Yeah,
does it look as scary as this one?
Well, yeah, if you want to just grab my screen. So we've held this yellow box, albeit, I mean, the first time we touched it was November 23, right? Obviously, when the bull market, whatever, the last Injective run came, ever since then, we've pinged it so many times and we keep recovering it. All right. Now we're in this zone now. Looking at the charts, I think we're going to lose it again. And the reason I think that is because once again, you can see what happens with cash flow on the previous wave. It just keeps going until it bottoms out and then it recovers. And it's massive move. This thing here, it feels a little bit like it's just getting started on this dip. Before it does that, that 16 wouldn't surprise me at all down at this level. And that's not too, listen, it'll be this again, and then we recover the box and then we carry on. That's what, the same as here, the same as here, and the same as here, and time before that. So that makes complete sense. This 16 level makes complete sense. This cash flow is still negative, guys. Even though the RSI is facing up, which it is, it doesn't mean it's not going to just turn and come straight back down lower. So yeah, I concur.
Ooh, okay, so yeah, look, Injective at 16 tells us the market as a whole is under pressure. So that means, a lot of other altcoins are sweating as well. We're probably then picking Render up at our 5.22. That's probably going to be our next zone then for Render. So look, guys, there's a lot to chew here. Chaos, thanks for hanging.
Pleasure.
Thank you for your expertise. There's a lot to think about here at the moment. We obviously had an unusual weekend, and it's one of those moments where you're like, shit, should I be taking risk here or not? So all we can do is watch the big levels. We can look for reactions on those zones, and we can try some positions in those areas, and you can marry that to any head shorts on any punts. Okay, but in terms of, some of these alts, we've lost trends. We're looking for retest now. We've lost 200-day MAs on some of them. We're looking at retest into that. So effectively, some of them are turning a little bit bearish for us. What can change? Well, we were saying yesterday, bearish Monday could be a nice green week. Obviously, we weren't expecting this bearish, but we've got FOMC on Wednesday. That could be a catalyst. Maybe Uncle Donald wants to do something special there and maybe use some influence and pump our bags. Okay, so watch for that FOMC on Wednesday. That could be interesting. That's our next mover. I think in between that, I think we go relatively choppy between today and Wednesday. Obviously, we don't want to see too much more downside, but guys, just protect yourselves, obviously, and don't ape in. We don't need to go massive size here. We're now waiting for this FOMC. And now as the news also comes out on Deepseek, and if they uncover they're using NVIDIA chips and all those things, then NVIDIA pumps again. The sentiment changes very quickly. So guys, just hang in there. I know it was a rough ride. For all of us. Okay, so just play safe out there. Don't over leverage. Don't over trade. I'll see you guys in Hackers, and otherwise I'll see you guys tomorrow. Catch you later.